Daryl Recommends Podcast is a podcast recommending series and shouldn't be mistaken as a reviewing one. Opinions about each show are my own and should not reflect what each podcast has to offer. Content warnings aside, I believe if any recommendation in my series interests you, you should give it a chance, regardless of how I personally feel about the show.
Look alive, would you?
Huh?
Didn't you hear the bell?
Oh, right. Of course. Sorry, sir. Sir?
Make haste.
Ah!
I'd move your head if I were you.
What? A box?
Your powers of observation astound me. Aren't you going to look at it?
Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
I should hope so.
No label, no name, nothing. Just return stamped on the side.
Well,
Well, sir?
aren't you going to process it?
The box, sir?
Yes.
Oh, I suppose so, sir.
Very good.
Yeah, how exactly do you...
What do you normally do with boxes, dear apprentice?
Open them, sir?
Indeed.
Oh, right.
In the first and the last place, Apprentice is instructed to read the Remnants, seemingly normal objects, and the stories of the lives that they hold. Under Sir's watchful eye, Apprentice does as he's told, but the more he reads, the more questions there are, and at the end, judgment must be given. Remnants is a dark fantasy thriller that is currently in the middle of its second season, with over 40 episodes to listen to at the time of me recording this. The very first podcast made by Era Major that I listened to was Spirit Box Radio, and it definitely is, and I'm sorry my dog came in to say hi. It is definitely probably one of the most, held close to my heart shows there is. I love Spirit Box Radio, but I think Remnants has to be my new favorite show that he has written. I love this show so much. I kind of wish I started it when it first came out, but I didn't. And I started it later, and I'm sad about that, but it's okay, because I really, really like this show a lot. It's very well written. It could come off as, devastatingly beautiful or disturbingly unnerving. I like making the joke just because, Sir has a similar accent to him, but he doesn't sound exactly like him. I've been playing a lot of Cookie Run Kingdom, and Sir, to me, for some reason, reminds me a lot of Charcoal Cookie. But it's mostly just, they got a similar accent going on, and I'm just all yeah, you got, Gravekeeper vibes. And considering, what we know about stuff happening in Remnants, it's yeah, that checks out. But the writing of the show is, so... It could be, devastatingly beautiful or, disturbingly unnerving. There is definitely a lot of stuff in the show that has me okay, that happened! Just, it's very good. And it's very much it's an anthology-esque series. It's not like a true anthology. It's kind of, it has the setup of an anthology, but with reoccurring characters though. But it's the one twist with it is that every single story that that Apprentice reads, you the audience have to know they all die in the end. Every single person that he reads a story for dies in the end. So if that is, yeah, that's the twist. It kind of reminds me a little bit of I haven't listened to it myself yet, but someone dies in this elevator where it's just all it's a story, but at some point somebody dies in an elevator. But with this, it's just all yeah, we hear a story, but at the end we already know that this person's going to die. And sometimes the story will get interrupted, so we don't actually see how a character might die, but other times not. So, Also, if you hear my dog in the background, my other dog is annoying her. Lucy, are you being annoying? Hi. You are so funny looking. Anyway, but no, I just really enjoyed the stories for this. I like the mystery with Sir and Apprentice. It's very funny with them because you get the beginning and Sir is just okay, Apprentice, go do the things you gotta do, and Apprentice is okay, Sir, when did I get here? And I don't know, you're the theater of the mind with audio dramas. What's really cool about this, about Remnants, is my perception of like where they're at is like constantly changing, and I think that's very fitting for like how the setting is described. And I just I don't know, it's just very, very fun. I love how like kind of trippy the show is, despite the fact that it is kind of like a pseudo anthology, even though it's not really like much of an anthology, but it kind of is. And I'm just like, I just like the writing with the show, and the stories can get so good. There's like some that are like really sad, like super flippin' sad, but then oh god, so bad with characters' names, I don't remember. But the one about the kid who really liked the train station, that one was devastating. I like listened to that on my way home, and I was like, oh my god, my heart, oh no. And then there's like some that are just like so happy, like the one guy and his young when he was a younger man boyfriend, and his boyfriend got with like a non-binary person who was closeted, and so they basically had like a lavender marriage. And that like this like random dude who was like so important to like his ex-lover's like family's lives that after the guy passed away, they like hunted him down, and they were like, we're adopting you into the family, you're basically an uncle to us even though we've never met you before. And it's just like it's so good, it's all so good, it's great, I love it. And it's just like, it's also like, even though it's in like Britain, I've mentioned in the past, because like my favorite historical niche is like 1930s to 1950s like Americana. I specifically like in terms of labor in like the Appalachian region. It's just like, I don't know why, but that's like a very, very specific niche like area. I guess I could go a bit farther back to like 1910s as well. And but like this is like that, but in Britain a lot, and like a lot of it is focused in like the World War II era stuff, which there's a reason for it, but it's just like, I don't know, it's just like it hits like next to my specific like historical niche, because these are all like set in like the early 20th century. That being said, I do want to talk about the content warnings a little bit quick, because again, it is set in like early 20th century, so there's a lot of focus on like World War II in Europe, because these stories mostly take place in Europe. Not all of them do, but most of them do. Like, I would say maybe a small handful don't. Or at least if they do, or at least within that small handful, at one point they do take place in Europe, but usually they, like, don't live in Europe afterwards. There's, like, one that takes place after World War II, and then, like, she was in Europe for a little bit, and then she moves off to Cairo, so that's like, kind of what I'm getting at. But, yeah, it definitely has, like, a lot of talks about, like, the horrors of World War II and how awful that time period was. And again, everybody dies in this, but some of the characters we see the point of view of are children, so there are some... Usually with every story, the character starts off as a child because we're seeing their life go by, but there are some stories where it's told entirely through the point of view of children, so the children do die in the end. So if you don't like dead kids, unfortunately that is something that happens a lot in Remnants. But it's written very, like, tactfully. It's definitely not like, oh yeah, and then we just see this, like, 5-year-old child get blown to pieces, and we're narrating how much gore is everywhere. It's very tactfully written, so don't, like, worry about, like, oh my god, are you gonna see malevolent levels of guts and gore, which is... If every single recommendation video, every time I talk about horrifying things happen, that is like my base level of just like, this is the worst it can get. Is it like, does it get this bad? No, it doesn't. At least in regards to the children. There's some characters who do go through some like really gnarly crap. There is one episode where there's a character that sexually assaults a person, and it's through the point of view of the guy who does the assaulting. And again, it is done tactfully, but it is also very disturbing when you realize like what's going on. So, and it's very brief, like they don't linger around on it, so if that's something that's really disturbing to you, it's like one specific episode you could probably find in the content warnings, but you know, it's good to warn ahead of time. And again, because it's of the time period it's set place in, it does have period accurate racism, queerphobia, and sexism, but however, it's mostly talked through a historical context and not by like characters saying slurs just because like, oh well, this is the 1940s, so of course they have to be racist. So that's something that, you know, bothers you, then I just like, you know, keep that in mind. But overall, I definitely recommend Remnants. I really enjoyed it so much. The writing is fantastic. I am so hooked on what happens. I really want to know the lore. It keeps you questioning. Like, the story is at the point now where we have a very good idea of, like, who Apprentice is and, like, the stuff that Apprentice did. because a lot of the stories kind of like allude into that, and then we finally find out like who Apprentice is, and it's like, whoa! It still keeps you in a mystery. There's still like questions that need to be answered, and it's done so well. It's set up so good. And I very much enjoyed it. And I hope that if you go give Remnants a listen, you'll enjoy it too. And again, like with every show that I recommend, I will be linking them down below. You can go listen to Remnants and scream about it with me. And if you enjoy, go follow them and all that. Patreon, link down below, everything. I do it with every single recommendation. And I hope you guys actually do go check them out, because I very much enjoyed this one. So I will be leaving you all here. Have a good one. Bye!